Hey guys, Erin from underanelmtree.com. Find us on our blog and subscribe. Okay, we are a family of four living in a 42-foot fifth wheel. So it's an RV. We travel America full time and we homeschool our kids. And I've gotten some questions about how we do that. We've been homeschooling way longer than we've been traveling. My kids are in 7th grade this year. I have twins, a boy and a girl, and I've been doing homeschooling stuff with them since they were 3, since they were like pre-K age. So we've been doing the homeschooling thing the whole time. We come from the state of West Virginia, where there are 5 required subjects that you have to teach: math, language arts, science, social studies, and reading. They count reading separate from language arts. So those are the 5 that we're required to do. My family also does an elective each semester. We do Bible, and this is how we do it. So you can see my cow in the background. Isn't he cute and smiling? Okay, so we call him Wilfred. Anyway, this is what we're doing 7th grade fall semester. It will slightly change in the spring. Our spring semester starts in January, but this is what we do for now. The first required subject is reading. My kids are proficient readers. They're excellent readers. So we don't have to worry in 7th grade. At this point, we don't have to worry about how to read. So we're no longer doing phonics and sight words and Bob books and easy readers and all that kind of stuff. We're beyond that point. So now, instead of learning how to read, we're just enjoying reading. And really all I do for reading now at this point is I require at least 30 minutes a day. Usually my kids read more than 30 minutes a day, but they have to do at least 30 minutes a day of reading. And they can do print books. I also allow some audiobooks, and sometimes I give them a list of, you have to pick 3 books off of this list for the year, just so they get some classics in, and they're not reading, fluff the whole year. But they're really good readers. Jackson is to the point he doesn't even read children's books anymore. He's moved on to adult literature. I just have to watch and make sure it's not too violent or sexual content or things like that. So I just kind of scan the things that he's reading and check them out. So the next thing is for ELA, English Language Arts, is the next thing that's required by the state. We do a lot of things for this. This year, for fall semester, we're doing a writing program and we're doing spelling programs. In the fall, we will probably do root words. That's where they do like prefixes and suffixes, and then the root words, and it helps you with vocabulary and it helps you with spelling and things like that. A lot of times if you're prepping for SATs, you'll see root word books and things like that to help you with the verbal part. We do lots of things for language arts. Sometimes we've done poetry, we've done author studies, we've done series, we've done Shakespeare. This year, fall semester, spelling and writing. So the writing program that we use is called Institute for Excellence in Writing. Really great program. We use a video program. So you get DVDs. Each kid has a binder, and it is separated into sections. Shar, can you grab your binder, please? Yeah, sure. And so they watch the video. I believe the name is Mr. Andrew Padua, and he teaches a class, and it's on video. Okay, and she's gonna go grab it. So he teaches the class on video. They watch along. He writes on the board, the whole thing. It's typical teacher classroom setup, but they're watching on video. And then we pause the video, and they have a writing assignment. Generally, what they do is they take notes along with Mr. Andrew, or they do an outline, and then they have a rough draft, and then obviously we proofread, and then they have to do their final draft, which I require to be typed. We have 2 laptops. That's fine. This is Charlotte's binder, and oh, that's my messy kitchen. Okay, so you can see we have it all separated. Current work, finished work, structural, models, stylistic techniques. He has a thing called band words. He wants you to use strong verbs, and some things are just not allowed. This is a composition checklist, I think from the last thing that she did. She had to write a paragraph. You can write due dates on this. These are all the things that were required. She has to have a sentence that opens with a prepositional phrase. She has to have quality adjectives, strong verbs, a who, which clause, you know. So this is the way that he does it. It's a really good program. I like it a lot. It's improved their writing dramatically, and we've been using it for probably 3 years now. They also have programs that are writing that correspond with the history that you're doing. So that might be interesting. You can kind of double up. You can do history and writing together. We don't do that. We just do the generic, like, leveled coursework that's just Institute for Excellence in Writing. You know, I think it's like A, B, C, that kind of thing. Really great program. Okay, so the next part of ELA that we're doing this semester is spelling. I have one child that's an excellent speller and one that's a struggling speller. That's okay. You know, everybody has their strengths and weaknesses. I have one child that it works well independently with a textbook, and I have one child that's an auditory learner. So they have different spelling curriculums that they use. So we use two different things. The first, Charlotte's book, this is called Building Spelling Skills, and it is made by Christian Liberty Press. I just bought this on Amazon used. She seems to like it. She likes to be challenged when it comes to spelling, and so she has words like investigator, successor, prospectus, calculus, things like that. It because she just works through the workbook. She does a lesson every day, and then she moves to the next unit and she gets new words, and she just keeps trucking along until she's finished her book. Jackson uses a program called the Phonetic Zoo, and the Phonetic Zoo is also made by the same people that do the Institute for Excellence in Writing curriculum, and Mr. Andrew Padua is also part of this program. It's called the Phonetic Zoo, and it is great for auditory. It looks like this. The Phonetic Zoo, a self-teaching spelling program, and the way that this works is he has these cards, and he listens to the words on a CD or a recording, okay? And for each lesson, there's like a jingle that explains the lesson. There's like a rule, a spelling rule or something that we just go over and over and over again, and then it helps him to work on the words that go with the jingle. So these are OW words, and then these are OW words. So you can see there's an A, B, and C list. So he starts with A, and then he does all the A cards, all of them. And then when he's finished all the A's, then we go back through, have the same jingle again, and then he does all the B's. And then once he's done all the cards with B's, then he goes back, and then he goes to C's. Okay, so that's how that works. This is good for him. Like I said, he's an auditory learner, and learns best, and so he does best with spelling words when he hears them rather than when he sees them or writes them. Charlotte's the opposite, so we found a curriculum that works well for her learning style. And if you're interested in learning styles, there are quizzes online to help you figure out what learning style your kids are. And we've been doing it long enough now that we've kind of zeroed in on that. And so then I pick curriculum that matches up with the way that they learn best. And so Jackson's one of those kids that's going to do well in college because he's going to be able to listen to the lecture and remember what was said, and probably not have to study a whole lot. Charlotte is a lot like me. She does best if you sit down and you give her a book and a notebook and leave it be. And she kind of works independently and does really well. She has a sense of accomplishment with like workbooks and things like that. So that works for her. So figure out what works for your child. And a lot of times it's not what works for you. So just because that's the type of learner that you are, I need to read things for myself. If somebody reads them to me, it goes in one ear and out the other. If I read it myself, I comprehend it and I remember it. Jackson's the opposite. He does best if you read something aloud to him. He's a fantastic reader. He's a really, really good reader. And he has good comprehension skills. But he has excellent comprehension skills when he hears something rather than when he reads something, which is why he gravitates towards audiobooks. And that's fine. That works for him. And you just have to find out what works for your child and then kind of cater to that. The nice thing about homeschooling is you can hack their education and you can make it customized for what works best for them. All right, this is the math curriculum that we like, Saxon Math Homeschool Edition. We like Charlotte struggles with math. Jackson is fantastic with math. His mental math skills are better than mine. So, you know, he has a really hard time with spelling, but he's really, really good at math. So he's a grade ahead of her, and that's okay. You know, they're twins, but everybody has strengths and weaknesses, and they have their own abilities, and we can just nurture that, and they go at their own pace. So when they're finished one textbook, they go to the next textbook, whether it's the beginning of the year, the middle of the year, or the end of the year. Charlotte just, she's trying to tell me something. Charlotte's really excited because she's on the last lesson of her textbook from last year. So today is October the 2nd. So she's finishing a textbook tomorrow, and then she's going to move on to the next grade level the day after that. So we don't go by, you know, if you have pages that you haven't done at the end of the textbook at the end of the year, then they're going to be waiting on you at the beginning of the next year. We don't move on until they've done every lesson and they're proficient and they're ready to move on. We don't just push along. I want them to fully understand all the concepts and be proficient at them before we move on. Speaking of which, going back to spelling, Jackson struggles with spelling. So Jackson's really good at memorizing and regurgitating, but I don't want that. I want true understanding and excellence in what he's learning. So he's required to get all of his spelling words right twice before he can move on to the next list. And I don't do that to be mean or harsh or anything, but I want him to really know the words and not just memorize them and spit them back out. Because that's not true learning. That's memorization. And so I want him to understand the concept and why it's spelled that way, what the spelling rule is behind it, and so that he can apply that to other words and really understand. And so that's why he's ahead in math, because he genuinely, truly understands the concepts. He picks them up very quickly and he moves on. And Charlotte needs a lot of practice before she's ready to move on. So we just keep practicing and chugging away at it until she really gets it. Saxon is a fantastic program, especially for kids like Charlotte, because it's a loop program. So what happens is she learns concepts at the beginning of the year, and then she'll practice that, and then the next day they'll give her a little nugget of new information, and she'll practice those, but then she'll go back to what she learned yesterday and practice those again. And then the next day she gets another little nugget of information, and she learns that and practices it, and then she goes back and does a problem from the first day and a problem from the second day, and now we practice the things from the third day. And so it doesn't allow you to forget what you learned at the beginning of the year. So it's not like you get to the end of the year and you don't remember how to do the problems from the beginning of the year because you haven't practiced them for a while. So it's a loop program. I know there's another name for that, but I can't think of it right now. But it's Saxon. That's what we use. We also are really big on consumer math in our family. Consumer math means real world math. And so I think it's super important for my kids to learn algebra so that they can compete in high school and do well on placement tests for college, so they can compete in college, do well on placement tests for college, that kind of thing. And if they pick a career that requires high level math, physics, I realize it's a science, but it's a math class, let's be real. I want them to be able to pick anything they want to do and be prepared for college. So they have to do real math, textbook math, but we also do consumer math. And so what that means is we spend a lot of time learning how to balance a checkbook, how to compare credit cards. They understand interest rates. They know what compound interest is. They understand the stock market. They could tell you what a bond is or what a CD is, or you can find books on this. It'll have you fill out applications for renting an apartment, or figuring out the gas mileage in your car, or if you have to buy flooring for your house and this is your square footage, how many boxes of flooring do you need? We do real world math, and we do that often. We do that on drive days. Basically, whenever we have a drive day, they get a break from their regular math textbook and school math, and they get to do consumer math. I've found resources for this in lots of different places. Amazon has some good books. Last year we did travel math. It was a workbook. Can't think of the name of the company, but you can find things on Amazon. Right now we're working through curriculum that was developed by Girl Scouts of America. Charlotte's a Girl Scout, and they have lots of badges, I think like 6 in her cadet level, that have to do with budgeting, managing money, starting a business, things like that. And so we're using that curriculum. Another thing that's really good, you can get things through Boy Scouts, you can get things through 4-H, you can get all kinds of programs out there. Check out Amazon for consumer math resources. Okay, our next topic is science. We are science people here. We like science a lot, and the program that we've landed on is Apologia. Apologia is a Christian based science curriculum, but it is very much rooted in factual science, lab studies, that kind of thing. One second.
We found geodes.
My kids have paused me from my video what they were doing outside. They were cracking open geodes. This is
well, I was only
I got a little
we
one.
were helping Daddy with the sewage, but they needed geodes. Like I said, we're a science family. We're nerds. We like stuff like that. We recently went to the Petrified Forest and we picked up geodes in a gift shop, and so they're smashing our geodes today. So anyway, we use a really great science curriculum called Apologia. The level that they're on now is Exploring Creation with General Science, which is a middle school curriculum, and we started the book last year, but we kind of deep dive into these textbooks and spend a lot of time on them. I find a lot of extra experiments and hands-on programs and things that they can do to supplement the textbook, although it's a really great textbook. It's full of lab work and all kinds of stuff. But we started it last year, and we did fossils, rocks, minerals, all that good stuff. And they cover evolution. They cover it from a Christian perspective, but they do say, the basis of things. And now the second part of the textbook is human anatomy and physiology. An example of a test. They do it in modules instead of chapters. And then, they have to label and that kind of stuff. We do learning about bone marrow, and so we had chicken bones and vinegar, and making rubber bones and stuff like that. And so it's a good program. Okay, so our next topic is social studies. In a usual year, I do half the year geography, half the year history. And that is what works well for us. We split them separate. Obviously, we talk about geography a lot when we're doing history, but we do half the year geography, half the year history, and up until this point where we're using the story of the world as our history source, our main history source, and then I would find lots of things to supplement that through Pinterest and our local library and that kind of thing. We do lots of hands-on when it comes to history too, not just science. Like last year the kids learned about World War II, so we were doing Depression era recipes, and we made a pup tent, and when we learned about the Oregon Trail we were outside making Johnny cakes on a fire, and we do lots of field trips and all kinds of good stuff like that. This year's different. We're not going to do half of a year of geography because we are traveling full time, so they are picking up geography every day. They help map out where we're going to go. We talk about the cities and the states that we're in, and every time we get to a new state we look up fun facts about the state, and they're experiencing the culture and the climate and the people and the history of the place that we're going to. We always learn about that. So we're doing geography in our everyday life. So this year we're doing something different. We completed all of the Story of the World books for elementary school. I purchased the first Story of the World book for high school. Susan Wise Bauer is the author. We loved Story of the World for elementary school, so I purchased the first book of the high school series that she's still currently writing. We didn't like it. I didn't care for it. I felt like it was really dry and not written like a story like her elementary school series, and I realized that at high school level you need to, amp it up a bit and go more in detail and that kind of thing, but it was just not for us anymore. So at a loss and a week into our school year and still no history book, I discovered a website called athomemiddleschool.com. athomemiddleschool.com. That's what we're using for our history curriculum this year. It is free. It is online. It incorporates lots of videos. So you'll have like video excerpts from the History Channel or from YouTube or different places that you watch to supplement the chapters that we're reading from the textbook that's available on the website for free. And then obviously we're traveling, and 90 to 95% of the places that we're going are educational. So, yesterday was the first time in probably a month that we went somewhere just because it was just fun. We went to Roswell, New Mexico, and did all the fun alien stuff and things like that. Which, that is part of our history, but most of the time we're spending a lot of time in national parks, and we learn all kinds of history in national parks. We've learned tons about Native people in America, Mesa Verde cliff dwellers. We've been to Pueblo dwellings. We're in the West, obviously, right now. We have done all kinds of really cool social studies material in the places that we travel. And so I kind of feel like this year our life experience is our social studies curriculum, but we do supplement that with athomemiddleschool.com, which is kind of a textbook video course. Okay, that brings us to electives. So we do a different elective every semester. They're in 7th grade, so we've been doing electives for a long time. It's always something different. We've done lots of things over the years. We've done home ec, we've done art, we've done music, we've done Latin, we've done robotics, we've done, oh my gosh, we've done so many different kinds of electives. This year, and also last semester of last year, we're doing art history. So that's an easy thing to do in the car. I have these great books from Calvert Education. It's this one's by V.M. Hillier and E.G. Huey. See that? Calvert Education, A Child's History of Art. We have one for architecture and one for sculpture. So last year Jackson did architecture, Charlotte did sculpture. This year Charlotte's doing architecture, Jackson's doing sculpture. It's a compact little book. Doesn't take up a lot of space. And then they also have a little flip book with the artwork that corresponds with the chapter that they're on. Let me flip this around. So, for example, they're going to learn about Durham Cathedral and Salisbury Cathedral, so obviously like cathedrals in this section. And then they'll have artwork that goes along with and explains. I know at the beginning there were things about like arches and stuff like that, gates. So that's Monticello. We've been there. Anyway, yeah. So art history is what we're doing this year for an elective. Like I said, we've done lots of different things. Fall of last year, we did like a shop class with a really cool program from a company called PACE, and the ACE, and that I think stands for Accelerated Christian Education. Really good program. We learned about like the parts of a motor, how to check tire pressure, all sorts of garage type things. Another subject that is not required by the state of West Virginia but is required by mom is Bible. We're a Christian family. I think it's important to understand and know the Word of God for yourself and not from what someone else tells you. So it's very important to me that we study Scripture, and my kids do that every day, Monday through Friday during the school week, and then as a family on Sunday. We do a devotion through the Bible Project, which is available online and as an app. When they do their school Bible, they use YouVersion app on their iPhones, and it's called YouVersion. There's a kids YouVersion, there's a teen YouVersion, there's an adult YouVersion. There's tons of Bible studies on there. They're allowed to do it however they want, study whatever they want. But they have to do it every day, except for Saturday. That's optional, but Monday through Friday is required. Sunday we do it as a family. So that's what we do for Bible. I told you about spelling, and I think that's everything. I know this is a super long video, but that's the basis of the curriculum that we use. Like I said, this changes once a year. Fall semester is different than spring semester, and then the following year it goes back again. But our core 5 subjects are always the same, and in our family we also add Bible and elective to that. So please reach out to me with questions. Homeschooling your children can be super overwhelming. You know, we're already responsible for, you know, the caring for their mental health and caring for their physical health and making sure that they're going to the doctor and they're getting their dental checkups and that they're washing their hands and that they're, you know, emotionally good and that they're getting enough exercise and they're eating right and all these things. And then to add the magnitude of something like being responsible for their education, it's heavy. That's big stuff. And so it's okay to be overwhelmed by the whole process and kind of, you know, it can be overwhelming and scary, and just the everyday logistics of it. You know, we've been doing it for a really long time, so we've gotten into a groove. We know what works for us. More importantly, we know what doesn't work for us. And so the older they get, the more independently they can work, the less help they need from me. And that's the goal, you know, as parents, to work yourself out of a job, to teach them to be responsible, productive, independent members of society. And in our case, I'm responsible for preparing them for that society by giving the best education that I can. So if you have questions about the laws or about, you know, testing, or how does this even work, and or if you have specific questions about why do you like sex and math, or why do you use Institute in Excellence in Writing, or what did you do when your kids were still learning how to read, all that kind of stuff, please comment below. Please follow my blog, underanelmtree.com. There's lots of good information and posts on there, and I love to mentor other homeschool mamas because you know, we're a village, we're trying to do best for our kids, and it can be hard. And so it's good to have somebody in your corner encouraging you and telling you, yes, this is totally doable. Yes, this is possible. So that's all of my messy hair on a Sunday morning teaching you about homeschooling today. I'm gonna go get a shower, get dressed, and brush my hair and my teeth and get to my day. But reach out if you have questions.